If I were a conspiracy theorist, I mean, I'm not, but if I were, I would argue that the current state of the UK demolition and construction industry is no accident. Instead, it feels like part of a deliberate plan to divide and conquer. The working men and women who once had the security of direct employment have been pushed into self-employment or agency work. Sure, that allows employers to flex their workforce up or down depending on demand, but it also silences the collective voice of those workers. When everyone is an individual, who's left to stand together? The industry itself is fractured into countless specialist trades, each with its own trade body. On the surface, that brings a welcome degree of expertise and specialisation, but it also ensures that no single group of subcontractors has the size or strength to challenge the status quo. No one trade body has the power to rock the boat, and so the boat sails on, piloted, of course, by those in power and authority. As I said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Even so, doesn't it seem peculiar that the more fragmented the industry becomes, the more those at the top seem to benefit? Take the government's decision to abolish red diesel. The industry so splintered and siloed could muster no meaningful resistance. Instead of presenting a united front, it became a cacophony of isolated voices shouting into the void. Now compare that to the farming sector, which has managed to rally with remarkable unity. When faced with the inheritance tax raids, the construction and demolition sectors have once again shown their divisions. Meanwhile, the farming industry has stood firm. Farmers operating arable, livestock, organic, intensive or mixed farms, all standing together. And then there are the endless rules and impositions handed down by Tier One contractors. You must carry this particular competence card. You must wait 90 days to get paid. You must allow us to sit on thousands of pounds of your money in retentions, even as we distribute bonuses to our CEOs and board members. So, against this backdrop, I propose a different approach. I propose a phalanx. For those unfamiliar with military history or that haven't seen the movie 300, a phalanx is an ancient formation where soldiers stood shoulder to shoulder, shields overlapping, spears extended to fend off the enemy. It created a nearly impenetrable wall of defence and relied on teamwork, discipline, and unity to succeed. Now, I'm not suggesting that workers arm themselves with spears, but make no mistake, the industry's common enemies are long overdue a good fending off. Standing alone, individual contractors, whether they be in demolition, ground workers, electricians, landscapers, they're easy targets. They can be picked off one by government policies, Tier One contractors, and clients. But standing together as part of an industry-wide phalanx, they would form an unbreachable defence, a single unified voice that could speak louder than the fragmented whispers of a dozen trade bodies. Together, they could challenge unfair practices and demand a fairer deal. The year 2024 was tough, and all signs indicate that 2025 will be no better. The industry has a choice. It can stick to its usual tactics of every man for himself, undercutting competitors on price and stabbing one another in the back. I've lived through enough recessions to know that this approach never ends well. Alternatively, we could try something new. We could unite against a common foe, gathering our scattered forces into a single, powerful voice for change. If demolition and construction are to keep the wheels of the economy turning during tough times, isn't it only right that those doing the work have a say in how it's done? If specialist contractors are to shoulder the hardest graft, isn't it time they had a hand in shaping how they were rewarded? The government's actions and inactions have left many in the industry feeling angry and frustrated. The endless hoops and obstacles imposed by those at the top, whether they be bureaucrats or Tier One contractors, make it tempting to throw in the towel. Innovation is a buzzword in the industry, often used to describe new equipment, robots, or AI-driven machinery. But what could be more innovative than creating a unified industry that is fair and equitable for all? An industry where workers and subcontractors, rather than competing for scraps, stand together as a united front. And unity isn't just about survival, it's about progress. A united industry could demand changes that benefit everyone. It could push for quicker payment terms, ensuring that subcontractors aren't left waiting months for their hard-earned money. It could challenge the retention system that allows Tier One contractors to hold funds that rightly belong to those who did the work. It could demand competence requirements be standardized and fair, rather than used as barriers to entry that disproportionately burden smaller players. And a phalanx doesn't mean uniformity. It doesn't mean erasing the individuality of trades and the expertise of specialists. It means aligning interests to protect the whole. Just as in the ancient formation, each soldier's shield protected not just themselves, but the person next to them. In this way, the industry's many trades could stand together, protecting one another while advancing a shared cause. The year ahead will unquestionably test the industry's resolve. So will it continue to operate as a collection of silos, each shouting into the void? Or will it come together, shoulder to shoulder, as a phalanx that is stronger and more resilient than the sum of its parts? And you know that saying, united we stand, divided we fall? Yeah, there's a truth in that.